Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Virtually Sunday, a ministry of Whatsoever You Do, Incorporated. I'm the Reverend Bridget Flad Daniels, the senior pastor of Union Congregational United Church of Christ in downtown Green Bay, Wisconsin. A friend told me years ago that he discovered the reign of God in a new bedtime. At first, I just rolled my eyes until he explained that getting to bed before 10 p.m. was how he got sober and stayed sober for over 21 years. Or how about this image from Anne Lamott? She says that heaven is a new pair of glasses. That is, the kingdom of God is the ability to see things clearly as they truly are, without the smudges of human expectations and stereotypes and preconceived notions. And so, what is the kingdom of God like for you? If you have any ideas, we'd love to have you share them in the comments. If your church is reading the longer version of the gospel this week, you'll hear several sayings of Jesus that are often called kingdom parables, verses in which we hear Jesus saying, the kingdom of God is like, including, the kingdom of God is like a mustard seed. Traditional interpretation of this verse is that it's something very small that grows unfathomably and takes over. But remember, Jesus was rarely overt. And so, in addition to that exponential growth, it might be helpful for us to remember that mustard bushes are brambly. They're thick and twisty, and the birds make their nests in these bushes because the predators can't get to them. It's a sanctuary. So one note of this chord is that we will have achieved the reign of God when those who are fleeing predators have somewhere safe to dwell. Along with being thick and twisty, mustard bushes are also weeds. As 21st century city dwellers, we may not realize that mustard is a weed. No first century Jew would have planted mustard in their garden. It overtakes everything. It infests like garlic mustard or creeping Charlie. And so in this regard, this parable gives us insight into the reality that when we encounter the reign of God, it shapes everything. It takes over. Part of what I love about Jesus' talk about the reign of God is that his images are really mundane, really everyday. And that is where we encounter God. Where we encounter God's reign is right here under our noses. Not in some palace, not in an ivory tower, but in baking, in subsistence, in fishers doing their job, in weeds that show up where we don't want them or expect them. Barbara Brown Taylor says that in the most ordinary, everyday things and experiences are signs of the kingdom of heaven, clues to all the holiness hidden in the dullness of our days. God decided to hide the kingdom of heaven not in any of the extraordinary places that treasure hunters would be sure to check, but in the last place that any of us would think to look, namely, the ordinary circumstances of our everyday lives. David Lose of Luther Seminary puts it this way: be careful. People who've been infected by the gospel have done crazy countercultural things, like sharing all they have with others, standing up for their values, looking out for the underprivileged, and even sharing their faith with people around them. They've experienced encouragement. Hang in there. God's new reality is closer than you think, already seeping into your life, even though you can't always feel it. To others still, these parables are the profound promise, no matter what it might look like, God's kingdom will prevail. And so, In the face of war, we claim God's peace. When confronted with illness, we look to God's eternal healing. When faced with hate, we proclaim love. Why? Because the kingdom of God is here, and if you get it, it will transform everything. Earlier, I invited you to share in the comments what the reign of God is like to you. Maybe the kingdom of God for you is like your family of choice, where you learn that you are worthy of love and acceptance and grace, even no matter what you were told in your family of origin. Maybe the kingdom of God for you is like bubbles. I have yet to encounter anyone who doesn't at least get a glimmer of joy when they see bubbles, because bubbles take us out of our fretting. Your thoughts on the reign of God may be images that help you to remember the extreme surprise and delight we experience when we discover or even stumble upon the peace and joy of God's grace, like the parables of the pearl and of the treasure. Maybe your kingdom picture will show the subversive and invasive nature of God's love, forgiveness, and inclusion. Maybe it'll be a new pair of glasses, some new lenses that help you to see things through God's eyes of mercy and compassion and healing and hope. The kingdom of God is here. It's about perspective. And so the question remains, where do you see the kingdom?